This story is related to a cursed village and the terrifying phenomenon caught on CCTV cameras. The village of Shadowbrook, nestled deep within a forgotten valley, was not marked by quaint charm or scenic beauty, but by a pervasive sense of dread. It was a place where twilight brought not serenity, but a chilling hush, forcing every inhabitant indoors, doors bolted and windows shuttered. Whispers of wandering spirits, malevolent entities that roamed the narrow lanes, riversides, and ancient trees were not mere folklore here. They were a daily, terrifying reality. The fear in Shadowbrook stemmed from a single horrific incident, a catastrophe so profound that it scarred the very soul of the land and its people. A century ago, Shadowbrook was a thriving community. Its fertile lands yielded bountiful harvests, and its river flowed with life. However, a dark secret festered beneath its peaceful exterior. The village elders, in their greed for greater yields, dabbled in forbidden rituals, sacrificing small animals to an ancient, malevolent deity said to reside in the depths of the old quarry. Their prosperity grew, and with it, their hubris. They began to demand more, and the deity, satiated with mere animal blood, demanded a higher price. One fateful harvest festival, the village chief, driven by insatiable avarice, decided to offer a human sacrifice. They chose a young woman, Ilara, known for her purity and beauty, to be presented to the entity. Ilara's screams echoed through the valley as she was dragged to the quarry, her pleas for mercy unheard. As her lifeblood stained the ancient stones, the sky turned black and the earth convulsed. A monstrous roar erupted from the quarry, a sound that tore through the fabric of reality itself. It wasn't the sound of a satisfied deity, but of an unleashed fury. The ground split open, swallowing half the village in an instant, and from the chasm rose an oppressive darkness that engulfed everything. The survivors were few, scarred not just by physical wounds, but by the sight of their loved ones dragged into an abyss by unseen forces. They saw Ilara's spirit rise, not in peace, but in vengeful agony, her form distorted, her eyes burning with an infernal glow. She had become the conduit for the unleashed entity, a collector of souls, bound to the quarry and seeking an endless tribute. From that day on, Shadowbrook became a ghost town in spirit, even if not in name. The few remaining families lived in perpetual terror. As dusk approached, a thick, unnatural fog would roll in from the quarry, seeping into every nook and cranny. And with the fog came the whispers, disembodied voices, mournful cries, and guttural growls that would send shivers down the spine of even the bravest soul. Years turned into decades, and the outside world, dismissing it as a superstitious relic, largely forgot Shadowbrook. However, a team of urban explorers, led by the thrill-seeking adventurer Liam, decided to venture into the abandoned sections of the village, eager to document its eerie beauty. They were armed with state-of-the-art night vision cameras, audio recorders, and portable CCTV systems, hoping to capture proof of the paranormal. "This is going to be epic," Liam grinned, adjusting his headlamp as they entered the village just as the sun began to dip below the horizon. His teammates, Sarah, a skeptic tech expert, and Mark, a nervous history enthusiast, followed closely. As the last sliver of sunlight vanished, the familiar unnatural fog began its slow creep from the direction of the quarry. The air grew heavy, biting cold, and the smell of decay intensified. "EMF readers are going crazy," Sarah whispered, her voice laced with unease, "and the temperature just dropped 20 degrees in a minute." They set up their portable CCTV cameras at various strategic points, overlooking the main street, near the old schoolhouse, and facing the infamous quarry. Liam, emboldened by the equipment, decided they would split up, each monitoring a different feed from their central command post in the old derelict church. Mark, stationed in the church, watched the CCTV feeds nervously. The main street camera showed nothing but swirling fog. The schoolhouse camera flickered, showing brief glimpses of distorted shadows moving within. But it was the quarry camera that truly terrified him. The feed was grainy, but he could clearly see skeletal hands reaching out from the murky water, clawing at nothing. A faint, mournful wail emanated from the speakers connected to the audio recorder. Suddenly, the feed from Liam's camera, which he had strapped to his chest, went live. Liam was exploring the ruins of the old village chief's house. Mark saw Liam's figure moving through dust-laden rooms. Then, a chilling image materialized on screen. Behind Liam, a tall, gaunt figure in what appeared to be a tattered white gown floated silently. It was Ilara, her eyes glowing with an eerie red light. Her long black hair cascaded around a face twisted in eternal anguish. "Liam, behind you!" Mark screamed into the walkie-talkie, his voice trembling. "She's right behind you!" On the CCTV feed, Ilara's spectral form lunged. Liam's camera feed went dark, but not before a blood-curdling shriek pierced the silence, a scream that seemed to tear through Mark's very soul. Panic gripped Mark. He switched to Sarah's camera feed. Sarah was near the river, trying to capture EVP, electronic voice phenomena. On her screen, Mark saw the dense fog thickening around her. Then, shapes began to coalesce in the mist, dozens of them, shadowy figures with glowing red eyes. They were the lost souls of Shadowbrook, the former villagers, twisted and corrupted. They moved with unnatural speed, surrounding Sarah. "They're everywhere!" Sarah's voice crackled through the walkie-talkie, filled with pure terror. "They're trying to touch me!" Mark watched in horror as the figures closed in. One particularly grotesque entity, its limbs unnaturally elongated, reached out and grabbed Sarah. Her camera fell to the ground, capturing only the frantic movement of distorted faces and the sound of her gurgling screams before the feed cut out completely. Mark was alone in the church, surrounded by the ominous silence of Shadowbrook. The whispers outside grew louder, swirling around the ancient walls. He could hear them now, faint but distinct, murmuring his name. The CCTV feeds flickered back to life, but now they showed something far more horrifying. On every screen, the spectral figures of Liam and Sarah appeared, their faces twisted into grotesque smiles, their eyes glowing red, just like Ilara's. They were no longer his friends. They were now part of the endless torment of Shadowbrook. Suddenly, the church doors slammed shut with a thunderous bang. Mark spun around. Standing there, bathed in the faint moonlight filtering through the broken stained glass window, was Ilara. Her eyes were burning like embers, and a chilling, predatory smile stretched across her lips. "Welcome, Mark," she hissed, her voice a symphony of sorrow and malice. "Your spirit will make a fine addition to our collection." The remaining CCTV feeds, still recording, captured the final moments of Mark. They showed Ilara's shadowy hands reaching out, not to kill, but to draw him into an embrace. Mark's screams were muted, his struggles futile. The footage then showed his body collapsing, and then his ghostly form rising, his eyes now glowing red, his face contorted in a silent, eternal scream. He walked out of the church, joining the legions of spectral villagers, disappearing into the thick fog. From that night on, the surveillance footage from Shadowbrook became a terrifying legend in itself. Those who dared to watch it reported feeling an inexplicable dread, seeing distorted faces in their own reflections and hearing whispers calling their names. The footage became cursed, a gateway for the entities of Shadowbrook to reach out into the world. Today, Shadowbrook remains. No living soul dares to enter after dusk. The barbed wire fence stands as a monument to human arrogance and spectral vengeance. The CCTV cameras, still mysteriously active, continue to record, but they record nothing of the living. They only capture the endless, horrifying dance of the dead, their red eyes burning in the pervasive fog, forever trapped in a cycle of suffering, waiting for the next curious soul to add to their spectral ranks. The village of Shadowbrook is not just haunted, it is the haunting, a living, breathing entity forged from ancient curses and endless despair.